Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. CR Daredevil bringing you another episode in our TNA series where we are crossing the line and taking over, doing our own thing in this starting tonight, today, whatever you want to call it. It is Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to all out there who are watching this. I not to really do anything for Christmas, so I figured, why not? Let's get this video up. Especially because today's a pretty good day, health-wise. Still been dealing with some health issues lately, but today's a pretty good day, so we're gonna go ahead and record this. I say that as something. Anyway, that's a different story. But we are having Impact today. The fallout from the Sacrifice pay-per-view, with all the crazy stuff that happened, including AJ Styles making his return to TNA Wrestling. We had Matt Hardy show up. We had Johnny Impact show up. We had the tag team titles change hands. We had so much more happen. Definitely go back and watch that if you haven't seen it, or, because it's been almost a couple weeks since I've done a video for it. Maybe you go back and watch it just to find out what happened. Anyway, we're going to dive right into things here today, with a pre-show bout featuring Sonata defeating Jimmy Rave in 6:55 by pinfall to German suplex. 47 rating for the match, 38 from Jimmy Rave, 45 for Sonata. I didn't sign. Jimmy Rave is set as a local worker in this. I don't have him under contract. I might sign him, but for now he's not actually under a TNA contract. But I just figured with his recent passing, it would be kind of cool to have at least one match in this series featuring Jimmy Rave. So yeah, he was I enjoyed him. I always enjoyed his abilities in the ring and his the charisma he brought. One of my favorite one of my more favorite tag teams during this era of TNA was, of course, the Rock and Raven faction, with him and Lance Hoyt and Christy Hemme, and they'd bring out the Guitar Hero guitars and just pretend to play them and everything like that. It was so ridiculous that it was great. So I was kind of, I was pretty saddened by that, but yeah. So I figured, even if I never use him again, at least he's got, at least he can go down to the record books as having one match in our TNA series. And you never know. I might end up, a 38 in-ring rating is pretty decent, so I might bring him in for, even if he's just a jobber type or kind of a lower tier guy that I use at times over. Might be something, but nevertheless, former X Division champion Sonata getting a victory here, as he's trying to get himself in a better position here in TNA. His X Division championship reign came to an end at Sacrifice, and now he's relegated to the pre-show apparently. So we'll have to see what happens with that heading forward. In front of 4,588 people in the Georgia International Convention Center. What a great place to be running a show. We open up this episode of Impact with a 63 rated promo where the Hardy Boys come out and they talk about what happened at Sacrifice. They say that they had the match, that Jeff Hardy had the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in its grasp, but Abyss got involved through a technicality that, was allowed, because officially Abyss isn't a member of the TNA roster. He's only under contract with Magnus and all that. And Jeff's not too happy about it. He says that he wants a rematch at some point in the near future for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Kind of tries to goad Magnus into giving it to him, but he says that there's something else he wants to address first. He wants to address the man who is apparently here to stop all the chaos in TNA. Who came out at the end of the night to make the save. He wants to address AJ Styles, and then Styles comes out to the ring. And Jeff says that he appreciates the fact that AJ came and helped him out at the end of the show there. He's really glad to see him back here in TNA. He knows that they have a bit of a history when it comes to this place. and he knows that there's obviously a lot of history there, and that he says that he knows that Styles is one of the all-time greats in TNA wrestling, and that when he becomes the TNA World Heavyweight Champion in due time over, he will gladly have no problem giving AJ Styles a shot at the title. And this brings out Magnus, our current TNA World Heavyweight Champion, who comes out and says that apparently Jeff is just talking all crazy, and maybe Willow hasn't exactly left his mind yet, because last time he checked, and he taps the belt on his shoulder, he says last time he checked, he's still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And you can come up with whatever excuses you want, but the fact of the matter is Magnus played by the rules. The rules stated that nobody under a TNA contract could get involved in that match, and nobody did. Abyss is not under a TNA contract. He's under a contract with Magnus. And he says that Jeff Hardy is simply just another so-called legend that Magnus has put down in continuing the dominant reign of him as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and says that he has no reason to give Jeff Hardy a rematch. He beat him fair. He beat him in the middle of the ring cleanly. He has no reason to give him a rematch, but he feels, he's a pretty decent guy. He likes to think of himself as a pretty good individual. He says he has no problem giving Jeff Hardy a rematch, but he has to earn it. He says that tonight he will step into the ring with Jeff Hardy, and if Jeff Hardy can win that match, then he will gladly grant him a shot at a rematch at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And the crowd's kind of, everybody's kind of surprised, because they're like, Magnus is wanting this to happen, but everybody's kind of surprised by this, and Magnus is like, so I hope you and your brother are ready. And Jeff's like, what are you talking about? You said you and me. And no. And Magnus is like, no. Tag team matchup. You two taking on myself and Abyss in the main event. So there you go. The main event for tonight is set. Magnus and Abyss versus the Hardy Boys. And if the Hardys win, then Jeff Hardy gets a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So we'll have to see what that means. I'm just as surprised as all of you that Magnus is actually being nice enough to say, hey, you win this match and I will give you a rematch at my title, because clearly Magnus is not that kind of individual. So the fact that he's willing to do this here is kind of surprising. It's really surprising indeed. But I guess we'll have to see what that main event brings, because clearly he's willing to do that. So not only that, but we're hyped about the fact that we're going to get to see the Hardys in tag team action for the first time in at least a few years at this point, I believe. Matt, I feel like they're in different companies for at least a couple of years at this point. I probably should check this before I started the video, but pretty sure the Hardy Boys hadn't teamed up at this point for at least a couple of years before it. So there's that too. We'll have to see what that leads to. After that, we get Eric Bischoff backstage talking with MVP, and Bischoff says that yes, he did notice that MVP has been having some shortcomings as of late. He's been doing some shady things as of late. He's been taking the power that he has, and using it to a bit of an advantage for himself. And he doesn't, he's the kind of person that he knows from a previous experience, running a company, going to, beating Vince McMahon for 83 weeks in a row. He has to get the dig in. He says that he knows from previous experience that he knows what it's like to have power and to use it to his advantage. And he doesn't want to see MVP take that path. He doesn't want to see MVP start going down that path, because we've seen it recently where MVP has been keeping Kenny King from getting a shot at the X Division title, where he's been not booking guys like Austin Aries who wants a match and stuff like that. So he says he wants to make sure that MVP doesn't embrace the darkness that comes with power. He wants to make sure that MVP has more respectful position of power and offers to kind of keep helping him out. So we're going to be seeing Eric Bischoff around for a little while here. Apparently he's going to help MVP make sure that the company's running smoothly. So there's that. I take with that what you will, but that is the 73 rated segment, so I will gladly take that myself. After that, we get a tag team matchup featuring Bad Influence defeating the Von Erichs in 642 when Daniels pins Marshall Von Erich with a BME, or best moonsault ever. 62 rating from Kaz there, 74 from Daniels, 28 from Ross, and 26 from Marshall. Essentially, this is just a Bad Influence having a basic tag team match. Doesn't last too long. Get the victory, making them look good. Commentators, TNA and Taz, kind of talking about how we saw at Sacrifice that they kind of put it out there that they wanted to challenge whoever walked out of the pay-per-view with the championships, because they want to get themselves back in the tag team title picture. And so they kind of went out here and got Von Erichs aren't exactly a big name tag team, but they did get themselves a very impressive looking victory. After that, we cut to the Wolves backstage, holding their new tag team titles, and they get asked by Borash about Bad Influence coming for the gold, and the Wolves essentially just say that they have no problem taking on anybody and everybody who wants to step up to the plate here in TNA, who wants to come for the tag team titles. They, the Hardys are getting back together. They can come for the belts. The Bad Influence can come for the belts. We've seen Beer Money recently get back together. They can come for the belts. They say that they have no problems with whoever wants to come for the belts, because the Wolves are going to continue to stand atop of the mountain in the tag team division here in Impact, or here in TNA, and they're going to continue to reign supreme. So nice little promo from them. It's not a strong one because they're not too great on the mic, but essentially just getting their point across that they're not worried about Bad Influence. After that, Madison Rayne comes out, still the TNA Knockouts champion, and she kind of talks about defeating Angelina Love to retain the belt. The beautiful people come out and say that they may think, Madison may think that she's done with the beautiful people, but she will be done with the beautiful people when the beautiful people decide that she's done with them. And while all this happens, Katarina comes out from the back and kind of just appears behind them, not really saying anything. And then you kind of see a little bit of a change in Angelina Love's demeanor when Katarina comes out. She seems a little bit off. She seems a little bit, not quite as cocky and brash as she just was. And Velvet kind of notices it a little bit, and then when she goes to turn to Angelina, she catches Katarina out of the corner of her eye, jumps and freaks out in the two, and beautiful people just kind of end up, kind of leaving towards the side as they realize that they're kind of sandwiched there between the two of them, and just kind of leave off. So that's kind of it's a bit of an awkward segment, but essentially it's just Katarina playing mind games with the beautiful people still. After that, we see Colt Cabana and Eric Young get a victory over the Menagerie. Members Crazy Steve and Nux in 10:32 when Eric Young pins Crazy Steve with a spiked pile driver. 54 rating for the match. 37 from Nux and Steve. 54 from Eric Young, and 56 from Colt Cabana. Essentially, this is kind of continuing the segment you saw at Sacrifice, where you saw Colt Cabana and Eric Young backstage kind of talking and, seeming to joke around a little bit and seeming to be kind of getting along pretty well. They kind of decided to kind of, we don't know their intentions yet, but they did have a tag team match here and looked pretty decent in the victory. So there's that. I'm not sure, maybe at least them being a tag team in the future. Maybe it's just them watching each other's backs. Maybe, we don't know. We'll have to see, but nice little victory for those two. 54 rated matchup is not too bad, especially against Crazy Steve and Nux. So, well, there you go. After that, we get a promo from EC3, who laughs about the fact that he got the better of Bully Ray during Sacrifice, about how he was the one standing tall, leaving Bully Ray laid out, how he had to he laughs about it, but then he also is like, but just so we're clear, I was coming to the defense of my aunt. I that's not like I was purposely going after Bully. Kind of like almost like a realizing that he might have been, saying a little too, might have been getting a little too cocky about it. He said, I was coming to the rescue of my aunt. I wanted to make sure that Aunt Dixie was okay. I didn't want anything to happen to her. And that's when Bully Ray comes out, just sprinting down to the ring. EC3 bails through the crowd. Well, EC3 and Spud, because Spud was out there since he's set up as EC3's manager. So he's just kind of out there too, but not really saying anything. But both of them bail through the crowd as Bully Ray just kind of stands there yelling at them from in the ring without a mic. So clearly some issues there between EC3 and Bully Ray that we will have to see how that plays out in the future. After that, Gail Kim defeats another member of the Menagerie, Rebel, in 535 by pinfall with an inverted stomp facebreaker. 46 rating for the match, not a strong one. Rebel, not very good at in-ring performance at this point, but I didn't have another heel female to put up against her that I hadn't already used on Explosion, because Explosion actually had like 3 women's matches or knockouts matches on it. And so I didn't really have any heels that I wanted to use outside, like that I could use outside of the Beautiful People. I mean, granted, people could have worked 2 shows in one night, but I just felt it was better to go this way, especially because Rebel is just a character I'm going to be using. Like, she's going to be basically managing the Menagerie, and then she's going to just kind of randomly be a jobber in the Knockouts division. I'm not really, she's just somebody I can have people get put over at times, so it's fine if she takes a loss. It's not a big deal. And clearly, as you can see by her in-ring performance, it's not like it's going to matter too much anyway. But 46, Gail gets a quick little victory. Just a way to get her some of her momentum back. Bobby Roode and James Storm are backstage talking to each other, kind of talking about their individual victories at Sacrifice. Of course, James Storm defeated Gunner, and Bobby Roode defeated Bully Ray in the tables match. And Dixie Carter walks up. Storm goes to leave a little bit, but Dixie kind of puts her hand up about that too, and apparently not wanting Storm to leave. But she kind of turns towards Roode. She just says, "I'll be quick, but I just want to show my appreciation. Bully Ray has been a thorn in my side for the last month or so now, after what happened at Lockdown and everything, and I'm glad that you were able to put him in his place at Sacrifice, and I hope that the two of us could potentially work together more in the future." It just kind of leaves it a hint like that and then walks off. So some hinting that Dixie wants to be working with Bobby Roode more in the future. Not sure. No idea, but there's that, I guess. Sure, why not? 60 rating for the segment. Dixie still with her terrible mic skills, looking dreadful, but everything else is positive there. So there's that. After that, Mr. Anderson, fresh off of his victory at Sacrifice over Samuel Shaw in the Last Man Standing match, gets a victory over DJZ in 636 by pinfall to mic check. 62 rating for the match is pretty good. 57 from Anderson, 53 from DJZ. Yeah, wow. That's probably one of his best in-ring performances we've had. I mean, granted, he's only had a couple matches, but still, that's pretty freaking good. But yeah, just a way for Anderson to continue getting some momentum after apparently being done with Samuel Shaw now after Sacrifice, and moving on to whatever's going to be coming out next for him, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to see. After that, we get a backstage promo from Johnny Impact, who showed up has sacrifice. I wonder how many times I'm going to say that word here in this video. Anyway, we get a backstage promo from Johnny Impact, who showed up at the pay-per-view. Borash is asking him what he is doing here in Impact. Of course, actually, it's not. He doesn't say, or we don't know what his name is yet. But Borash is saying that, he's asking what he's doing here in Impact, and he says, he's like, my name is Johnny Impact, and I'm here, quite simply, to be a bigger star than anybody in this company could possibly be. I am a bona fide movie star. I'm a bona fide wrestling star. There's nobody in this business who can touch me at this point. I am far beyond anything that everyone claims to be around here, and that it will be just a matter of mere time before this beautiful waist right here, and just kind of doing pointing and maneuvering with it, is going to be draped in gold. And that's when he kind of looks over and he's like, I'm sorry, there's a nobody staring at me. Can I help you? Do you want an autograph? And the camera kind of pans over, and that's when you see Austin Aries standing there with a smirk on his face. And he's like, you, a bona fide movie star, a star bigger than anybody else in this business, really? Well, we haven't quite met yet. My name is Austin Aries, and I am the true star of professional wrestling. So if you want to pretend to go around being a star, you could go ahead and do that. But it doesn't matter if you've had more exposure on a national stage or not. There's a reason why you're no longer there. Meanwhile, there's a reason why I'm continuing to be a bigger star in this business than you. And he walks off, and Impact kind of stares him down. So clearly some issues, some potential issues between these two in the near future. 56 rating for the segment. Johnny Impact could not improvise dialogue, apparently, but there you go. Not too bad of a segment there. We move on to a match in which Chris Sabin, 65 rated match, nice, where Chris Sabin defeats Paul London in 9:14 by pinfall to Cradle Shock after Brian Kendrick came in and distracted Paul London. This is a segment that this is a storyline that has kind of slightly been happening on Explosion, and I decided to turn it into an actual storyline, where Brian Kendrick and Paul London are apparently having some issues. It's one of those, things where it's kind of surprising because, of course, they were former tag team in WWE, and then they are both here in Impact now, and they're apparently having issues with each other instead of wanting to be, Kendrick, instead of wanting to team with London, is now coming after London, so there's some issues between those two. So turn it into an actual storyline with this, but at the same time, I also wanted to make sure Sabin got a victory. Not really. I have things for him. They're just not going to play out quite yet, so I have to kind of wait, kind of bide my time with him and have him bide his time until we get to that point. But gets a victory here in 9 minutes with a Cradle Shock. 65 rating for the match, 60 from Sabin, 54 from London. Pretty good match. Velvet Sky did some weird work at ringside. She's still managing Chris Sabin. Something is going to be potentially happening with that, but I will keep that a secret until it happens. Anyway, good victory for Sabin here. After that, we get Jay Lethal, who is talking backstage about the fact that he is the new X Division champion. He's excited to defend it against this new wave of talent here in TNA at this point in time. When Kenny King comes up and kind of gets in his face and says, "You may have the belt, but I'm still the king of the X Division, and you will give me a one-on-one shot at that belt at some point in the near future." and when it happens, I will be the new X Division champion. And Jay Lethal's like, I got nothing going on right now. How about we go out to the ring and you go ahead and try to earn yourself a shot at the title? And King starts making up a few excuses, and Lethal's like, well, I'm heading out to the ring. And if you want to prove that you are supposedly a king of this division, you'll join me out there. Otherwise, we'll truly know what kind of supposed character you are. And he leaves, and King looks frustrated, but it does get, King looks frustrated as we head to a commercial break. Come back from the commercial break, and the match does happen. Kenny King and Jay Lethal happens in the ring, and in just under 7 minutes, the match ends with Kenny King getting intentionally counted out. He didn't want to, he purposely got counted out. Looked like Lethal was getting some momentum, getting in control when King just bailed on the match. So Lethal gets a victory in 6:54. 54 rating for the match. Not too bad. Lethal with 50, Kenny King with 49. They had pretty good chemistry with each other, so that's good. That is good to know. But yeah, we'll have to see why Kenny King decided to intentionally get himself counted out in the coming weeks, I guess. Well, but for now, that's kind of what we're left with. Is we're left with Kenny King walking off, just throwing his hands, just not even bothering with trying to come back to the ring, as Lethal just stands there, takes the victory. After that, we get Bobby Lashley backstage, who is cutting a promo talking about how it seems like the TNA locker room is starting to get a little bit more crowded lately. A lot of returning faces and new faces showing up here in TNA. And he says that he has no problem with all these new faces because he has no problem beating them, just like he's beaten a lot of other people on the roster. He has no problem with all these returning stars because he has no problem beating them. He is a dominant force for a reason. He goes out there and he dominates in the ring. And anybody who, new, returning, whoever, anybody who wants to try to stop the domination of Lashley can gladly try, but will fail along the way. And Homicide interrupts and kind of says that he takes a little bit of an exception to this. He is a person who didn't go, who put companies like ROH on the map, and then he put a company like TNA on the map. And for someone who has been here for a cup of coffee to come around and claim that he is the gatekeeper, so to speak, the guy who is going to dominate anybody and everybody who's coming back and who's here and all that stuff, for someone like that to kind of run his mouth is it kind of gets him annoyed. It kind of makes him mad. But before he's able to even really continue much beyond that, all of a sudden Bobby Lashley gets nailed from the side and taken down to the ground by Loki, who comes flying in out of nowhere. And Loki and Homicide kind of look at each other, and then they start stomping down Bobby Lashley. So no idea what the hell that's all about. Bobby Lashley is suddenly getting attacked by Homicide and Loki, who kind of get pushed away by security. But there's that. Homicide and Loki are randomly beating up Bobby Lashley for some reason. I have no idea why. We'll have to see what that means heading forward. Then we get a quick little video just hyping up the fact that the Hardys are going to be teaming up for the first time in a long time. Teaming up for the first time ever here in TNA Wrestling. And they're going to be taking on Magnus and Abyss. Go to commercial. We come back. And a 71 rated matchup. I was hoping for a little bit better than that. Lack of psychology. That's fun. That's fun to see. A 71 rated matchup. Abyss and Magnus defeat the Hardys in 12:15 when Matt Hardy was disqualified after Samoa Joe ran in and attacked Magnus. Jeff Hardy carried the match. He had an 81. 57 from Matt, 62 for Magnus, and 66 from Abyss. Suffered from a lack of psychology. But of course, the Hardys obviously showed excellent chemistry teaming together. But there you go. The Hardys could not get the victory here because of Samoa Joe. And so Jeff Hardy does not get his rematch like he was hoping to get with this match. So no idea what the heck that means. just leaves more questions than answers at this point. And after the match, Hardy's asked Samoa Joe what he's doing. Joe just kind of looks at Magnus and Abyss, looks at the Hardys, just kind of ignores them, and then leaves. He decides to leave. So no idea where the heck that leaves us at right now. Joe just cost Jeff Hardy a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, or at least a potential rematch, by attacking Magnus at the end of the match. So where does that leave him? We have no idea, but that's how we end the show. We end the show with some confusion and some questions as to why Joe just cost Jeff Hardy a potential rematch at the world title. Show ends with a 69. Nice rating. Increased popularity in 13 regions, including potentially 6 British regions if we weren't restricted. But yeah, this show was pretty strong across the board. There were a few kind of lower-ish points in it, a few 40s and whatnot, but otherwise pretty strong across the board, or at least pretty consistent. That is, even then, even with the match, the main event only getting a 71, it was still our best match on the show. But good stuff there for sure as we continue the momentum from Sacrifice and try to continue getting more momentum as we head into our next pay-per-view, which will be happening in like 6 in-game weeks, which is Slammiversary, the big anniversary show. I think it's 6 in-game weeks. I'll check here in a second when this stops running. But anyway, so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. Definitely a lot of questions to be answered from this episode. No idea what the heck Homicide and Loki are doing attacking Bobby Lashley. We have no idea. No idea why Joe did what he did. AJ Styles, we still haven't really heard from. He showed up and he came out to the ring, but he didn't say anything during that opening segment. Jeff Hardy was just kind of thanking him for helping him out and all that kind of stuff, but he didn't really say anything, and then he just kind of faded off. So he hasn't really said anything. So we're still not sure what the heck what his plans are or anything like that around here. We are left wondering a lot of stuff. Really, we're left wondering about why did Kenny King walk out on the match? We're left wondering, if there's going to be something between Johnny Impact and Austin Aries. We're left wondering what exactly this connection that Dixie Carter's trying to start up with Bobby Roode is. Lots of questions, but we will have to see how that all plays out in the near future. Double checking this real quick. Yeah, so Slammiversary is set for the 2nd week of June in this game, so 5 weeks after this episode. So there you go. That's what we have going up. But thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate all the support you continue to have for the channel. And in the near future, we will have another episode of this. This coming Sunday night, of course. Tomorrow night, actually. You will see the big Starrcade 1995 pay-per-view episode from our Monday Night War series, followed the following day by the big Fallout episode of Nitro from that pay-per-view. So you'll definitely want to check that stuff out. Definitely check that out. As I just realized I have 3 videos I'm doing in one weekend here. But hey, it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. Definitely appreciate it. Merry Christmas to all out there. Hopefully you guys had a good Christmas. And we will catch you guys all next time.